Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Fierce Female Friday, July 14th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today has done everything from the main stage to being on set. I'm super excited to have him here in the dollhouse with us. Pardon me while I am fanning. It is like at least 80 to 90 degrees outside. I'm super excited for our next special guest coming up, and I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's shows with DeWitt and Nathaniel Bryan Anderson. Those interviews are up. I had a hassle getting them up, but they are up. So without further ado, let's welcome our incredibly talented, handsome, he has the most beautiful smile guest, Mike Forrest, ladies and gentlemen.
I fix this. There we go.
So that we can see you upright.
What's that in here?
Welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for
How are you doing?
having me. I appreciate it.
How are
Thank you
you
so much for
doing?
having me.
G
I'm good.
I
I'm good.
Finally Friday. Is it hot enough for you?
You don't know. Welcome to Louisiana. You hear me? I guarantee you it's hotter down here than wherever you at. You hear me?
Yes, I'm in the Carolinas. I'm in South Carolina, so it's hot down here. That's why I'm over here fanning.
Nah, Louisiana is a different type of heat. You hear me?
All right. So before we get into this interview, how has 2023 been for you so far? Because I know the year has brought so many ups and downs with this pandemic from 2021 to 2022 to now 2023.
It's been really exciting to be honest with you. Over the since the beginning of 23, my career has yet to slow down. I've finally gotten to a point where I have to make choices on which offers and which productions that I'm going to be a part of because it's hard. It's hard for my schedule.
Yeah.
I look at it as a blessing more than a curse because some people don't get as many opportunities as me, and I know there's other people in this industry that get a lot more opportunities than me. Um, but I'm just thankful for every step of the journey.
Now, you were a part of Fly, which is a quartet of airmen in training that are out of Tuskegee, Alabama, and it talks
Yeah.
about the Tuskegee Airmen. That was a pivotal piece of work. So you've done so many
Uh,
on-stage Broadway theater-based plays
mhm.
that are
Yeah.
historical and iconic to us. What was it like being a part of this lineup of Black men, showing this story on these icons that have been pivotal in history?
Uh, that has to be arguably one of my favorite productions that I've been a part of. Um, Being honored with the task of portraying the story that these men have actually done in real life. This isn't like being a Marvel superhero or being a DC hero. This really happened. And just doing my research to play the part that I did, it was so enlightening. And myself being an Army veteran myself, and knowing where we came from as a people and serving this country, and having the, like I said, the honor of telling their story is timeless. And this actually was my second time doing that production because I did it last year as well. And last year we actually had Tuskegee Airmen come to town and actually see the show, and they loved it. Their children or descendants, they came as well, and it was a wonderful experience that I'll never forget. The guys that I performed with, those guys are my brothers. I'll never forget them a day in my life.
Rhea Chandra says, "My man Black."
I don't know what that means, but all right, that's what's up.
Now, the Tuskegee Airmen, what was it like going back to present time? Because this sets place all the way in the 1940s. What was it like being able to go back to that time period or in that mindset live in front of an audience?
It was a little easier for me because, like I said, I'm a veteran and I've been to basic training, and I've been you know uh, in the experience of being a black man in the military. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to say that I experienced everything that those men endured, but it's a lot of things that they dealt with are still relatable to this day. And we actually performed. Oh, excuse me. We actually performed at the National World War II Museum, which is an experience all on its own, and the material that they had there, that they have there to reference and do research for our characters was definitely helpful to developing my character.
What makes you the happiest?
Performing, knowing that I look at my drive in this industry and in my career is I attack it the same way Kobe attacked the game of basketball, and being able to perform and make memories in other people's minds of not just my performance, but just the experience they have of hearing the story that I'm telling. That's an amazing natural high that I can never get enough of. That
And we,
live performing live is a little different from being on film. There's no cut. There's no, hey, can we do that again? Nah. You got it's like freestyling in a cipher, and either it's gonna be right or it's gonna be trash. And it has to be right. And that challenge is what keeps me going, and it gets me motivated to go on to the next production or go on to the next character.
I was just about to say that because, like, we're live right now, and so far, so good with this interview. I'm not messing up or doing anything. I would typically mess up. I remember in one of my interviews that I did, I called one of my guests that I had on the wrong actor's name. So it happens in real time. So we make mistakes in real time.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you? What is the funniest thing that has happened to you while live on stage? Because when that director or whoever is producing that play in real time on that stage and they say, okay, go, you can't afford to mess up because the audience catches on to it so quick.
Yeah. Being a trained actor on stage, it's a little different. Probably the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. Oh, true story. My guy Brian England, he was just on the live just now. He can attest to this. We were performing live, and there were certain scenes in the production where we were actually changing costumes while on stage. And during the opening of the production, I tried to kneel down and pick up a pair of dice that I shot on stage,
I
and
can only
my
imagine.
pants split right down the middle, and we had to jog a few laps around stage. And the fact that I know that there were people that could tell that my pants split, so instead of me trying to ignore it or play it off, which never works on stage, you can't do that. Someone's going to notice, and their attention is going to be directed towards whatever went wrong. So instead of me, trying to sit down and make it even more obvious, I
Show
try to
must
make it a
go
part of
on,
the
right?
production. And while I'm running, I remember just ad-libbing and saying, "Does anybody feel a breeze?" And a few of the students were laughing because they saw what happened, but they was like they didn't, they're being quiet because they're being respectful of the production. But I acknowledged it rather than just trying to cover it up.
The show must go on, and
The
that
show got
happened
to
to
go
one of
on.
my previous guests, Anthony Knight. He's a model, and he did a fashion show, and the designer gave him pants that were a tad bit too tight. And you know how models walk out in the runway show, they were
Yeah,
all lined up. You have another model behind you when they're doing the finale walk, and there was just no way that he could get back. Well, the designers, all of them backstage, made sure that the models were taken care of, so they had to get him another pair.
right.
So that happens.
It
The
does.
show must go on.
The show has
Definitely.
to keep thankfully, not too long after that incident happened, we were into our first costume change. So I was able to, jump out of those pants really quick and, just make it seem like, that was a part of the show.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier, and it makes it lighter on the crowd. And they forget about it, and they think it's part of the show, like I said, so they ignore it. They don't worry about it too much.
So what is your biggest fear? What scares you the most?
this strike, this SAG strike and this writer strike is getting kind of scary for us performers. And there are people out here who have dedicated their entire lives to this craft. And if you are a SAG member currently, it can be kind of scary. When you're a union member, and because your union is on strike, there's nothing that you can really do until the contract gets settled or there's an agreement. There's a lot of people who are, not everyone in this industry is just ball out of control. Not everybody in this industry is filthy rich where they're well off for the rest of their lives. People, this is our livelihood. This is how we make money. This is how we eat. I, I I tell as many people as I can, being an actor is like being a musician. If those tickets are not selling or if you're not performing, you're not eating. So that's probably like the scariest thing right now.
We kind of touched on this briefly on yesterday's interview with Nathaniel Bryan Anderson, and it's crazy. I sent him immediately after our interview because he was the second guest that I had on my platform. We seen the clip of Fran Drescher. I love her. She was on the Nanny. Everybody grew up on the Nanny. That's
Right, the nanny, you hear me?
sitcom.
The nanny.
But to see her
Yeah.
stand up there and fight for other actors who are in this industry, SAG union actors. And it's a
Yes.
lot of people who have put in the craft, who have put in the work into their passion. What advice would you
Yeah. Right.
give to the writers and actors? Well, the actors mainly, because SAG, at first we have the writers, but now it's the actors. It's starting to affect the actors who just want to get
Right.
out there and do their job, what they're passionate about, which is giving
Right.
amazing film.
Um, this is, what advice I could give to anyone. If you are not a SAG member, uh, keep doing your thing. This is not the first time there has been a strike. There was one in the 1960s that people don't know about. This too shall pass. One thing that I completely agreed with Fran Drescher that she said was that they need us. There is no show without. There is no movie. There is no show without us. Like, you need us. Like, yes, you make large amounts of money because of us, but there is no show without us. That's like a record company not having any artists.
Or
What you gonna do?
in these restaurants, these establishments, without workers, it would be without them. You would not have
They
food
need us,
if it wasn't for the workers. You definitely need the actors.
right? Thankfully, a lot of us actors and performers, especially in my city, I'm very thankful that I have a network of actors, writers, producers who do their thing independently, where we can still you know and put work in and enjoy the craft that we work hard at, and it's things like that that make me very thankful for not only being an actor but also being in the city and the position that I'm in right now.
Right. What are some skills that you've learned that have helped you along the way when you are on stage and on set? You've done both.
Yeah. Life experiences, most of all. I've seen and done a lot of things in my lifetime that you know it makes I like to make my characters relatable as much as possible to my own personal life, but like you can always do your research on the character you're portraying. But my life experiences. I'm a veteran. I've been to college. I've lived in dangerous neighborhoods. I've 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 been around the hipsters as well as the hood niggas. I'm very adaptable, and I've been a chameleon my entire life. I've always been around a very very diverse network of people that helps a lot with my character developments and anything that I'm doing.
So at what age did you discover, okay, acting is something that I want to do? This is something that I'm passionate about. 'Cause we always discover something is getting to us. I know I always wanted to do hair and makeup at a
Yeah.
young age,
Um,
watching the women in my family growing up. So at what age for you did you discover that acting was going to be your passion?
believe it or not, 4 years ago.
Wow.
Um, I have no formal training. I didn't go to college for theater and the theater arts or anything like that. Prior to 4 years ago, my the most experience I had as an actor was just quoting movie lines with my friends, cracking jokes, while we're sitting around in a circle at high school, having fun. I never thought that was acting. I thought that was just cracking jokes with my friends. And 4 years ago, I was on Facebook scrolling, and I call her like my fairy godmother. She contacted me and said, "Michael, come to my house. I want you to read this script." And it's been the ball's been rolling ever since, and ever since that first production that I ever did, I've been addicted to this completely. It's hard to imagine doing anything else in my life, honestly.
Wisdomology, if you're still in here, she says, "Hey, Lucini."
Wiz, my girl, yeah, she's known me. Wiz has known me since the beginning. She's known me before I was an actor. Before I was acting, I was I was a host of a radio show. I was doing podcasts with my best friend. He passed away unfortunately
Oh.
2 years ago, but he and I, we were, you know seeing people do podcasts on YouTube and everything. It reminds me so much of myself and my friends when we were doing it here in New Orleans, and it was like, man, I can only imagine if he was still here, the kind of podcast we would have had. But it all led to where I'm at now. I know he's looking down on me like, yeah, Mike, I got you, bro. But my experiences with, just having fun with my friends, I didn't know that was acting, but now I know, like, yeah, this, I can make money off of this, and, I'm blessed and I'm thankful that, I'm actually really good at this, you know, there's a lot of people in here in this world who think that actors because they do a good TikTok. Nah, it's not the same. It's not the same at all.
It's
You
a,
know, the,
and that was going to be which gears into the next question I was going to ask you. What are some of the essential qualities that make an actor?
Doing your research for your character, and actually studying and scoring your script, whether you're doing film or stage. Like, you have to know everything that's going on in the story in order for you to portray your character correctly. Like, some people think that, oh, if I just know the lines, if I just know my lines, I'll be okay. No, if you don't read your script from beginning to end, you're not gonna know what you're doing. Um, Staying humble as well in this industry, and not feeling like you are king of the hill, because there's a lot of us. There's a lot of Michael B. Jordans. There's a lot of Jonathan Majors. There's a guy in every city who thinks he's the next Denzel. You have to just keep going and keep trying and keep pursuing your craft. This is a very fluid industry, like just like with the writer's strike, and you know uh, there's things that change quickly, and not everything is promised.
A2Z_love says, keep up the good work.
I sure will. Thank you, love. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to go back for a minute because you talked about, the writer's strike. And with that, also staying encouraged and making sure that, you don't fall astray or go astray. My advice to anybody that is looking to get into this industry, I'm going to donate an air conditioning to you, Miss T. You can't have, they can't have you fanning on some. Listen, if I cut that fan on, y'all will not be able to hear me. It will sound like a wind tunnel. But I'm over here keeping cool. The skin is giving what it's supposed to give, which is that summer glow all over. It's the perfect dress. I wore the perfect dress today for it. So that's going to be my next. That was going to be my next question for you. What advice would you give to up and coming actors that are looking to get into this business?
uh, Take classes. Take classes. Don't just jump into this and go to an audition and disappoint yourself if you are not prepared. you know don't get me wrong. Some auditions are meant for you, and God might have his hand on you and say, hey, look, it's you. But preparing yourself from jump, take some classes, go and see a stage play. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know is that most of your favorite actors started off on the stage, and some people think that this just happens overnight. No, it does not. Some people have worked since they were a child and didn't get their big break as an actor until they were probably in their 30s. That's just this game. That's just this industry.
That's another thing we kind of talked about throughout this week too is ageism. We talked about this with DeWitt, who was our first interview yesterday. And we talked about how when you get a certain age in this business, it's just like you have a shelf life. You expire, you have a shelf life. They expect you to stop doing what you're doing. But I'm just like, Nathaniel even said it in our interview yesterday. He said even Morgan Freeman kept going, kept acting. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what age that you are. It's never a shelf life. If this is your
it's not a shelf life. It's not. I'm gonna tell you a perfect example. Danny Glover didn't get the leading role in Lethal Weapon until he was 41.
yeah.
People think Danny Glover was in his 20s or 30s when he was, Lieutenant Murtaugh. Like a lot of us grew up watching, a lot of us grew up watching Lethal Weapon. I didn't know until maybe like 2 years ago that he was in his 40s when he got that role. You know, Sam Jackson was in his early 40s as well when he started doing Spike Lee movies. This is, you don't have to start out as a child actor to make it in this game. You don't. You just have to stay consistent and stay working because you never know who's in that audience or you never know who's watching. Somebody's gonna say, "Hey, that's my character. That's my leading character." And,
All right.
and you don't have to be a child or in your early 20s or anything like that. There are more roles for people than what you would think. Not every role is meant for a 17, 18-year-old kid.
Right. And that's big for anybody who's looking to join in this business. Even in the fashion world, with me coming from the fashion world, there's a shelf life on models. And that, I think what who was it? I think it was Kate Moss. She started at what 16. Models started like 16, 17 years old. Tyra Banks shot her first cover in what 17 or 14, if I'm not mistaken. And it goes to show you when you get in like in your 50s or your 40s, they expect you to retire. But I'm just like, no. If I'm still in good shape, I'm still intact, and I'm capable. This is my passion. I'm going to follow that passion.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people don't know is that a lot of actors start off as models or musicians. This is a fluid business. You have to be multi-talented. I modeled in college. I dabbled in music. Years back. Uh, this is if this is your passion to perform and be an artist, you just have to stay fluid and don't be afraid to be creative. Whatever you're doing, like make those designs, write those lyrics, recite that your favorite monologue in the mirror that makes you feel like I can do this acting thing. This is something that it's not something you just get out of bed and say, what, I'm going to be an actor today. It is, there's work to this. You got to hit the gym. You got to stay in shape. You have to whatever look or whatever type of actor that you're looking to be, you have to work at that. There's Kobe practiced like crazy. You hear it? Like Kobe just didn't show up on game day and say, I'm gonna put up 40. Nah, Kobe's in the gym day and night, even when it's not a game day. Just you have to work at this.
And Al Pacino started on stage before his break on The Godfather.
He was off Broadway. He was off Broadway. Al Pacino was off Broadway when the producers of The Godfather came to him with the role. And believe it or not, some people didn't want him to play Michael Corleone. A lot of people don't know that. But I'll just like how my acting career started. No one can take from you what God has for you. You hear me? That's a true statement that I will stand 10 toes down on any day. Um, my first role in acting was a leading role on a stage play with people that I've never seen in real life I've only seen him in movies. Um, it was a blessing. You know, the guy who was supposed to play my role in oh, I'm sorry, let me say this. My first movie role, my first stage role was A Raisin in the Sun, where I played Walter Lee Younger. And if anybody knows what that is, you know, that was a role made famous by Sidney Poitier. And, you know, it was a lot of pressure doing something like that, being an actor off the street, no training, no nothing, just off the street. You know, that's like somebody walking up to you on the street and say, "Hey, I'm gonna make you a I'm gonna make you a, I'll make you a superstar." And you know, it it was a blessing, but it was also the beginning of the work. Definitely the beginning of all the work that needed to be done. And you know, I busted my ass for that role. You know, I put in a lot of hours researching and rehearsing, even when I wasn't actually at rehearsal. You know, I was fortunate enough to be around other artists in this craft that were willing to help me when I had no idea what I was doing. You know, it was definitely an experience that I would never forget a day in my life.
Right. And that's for anyone out there. You have to put in the work. A lot of people think that you can just get in this business and not do the work. It doesn't work that way. Now, yes, we can put in the work, but you have to be willing to do the work. It's not going to
Yeah,
be easy. And you're going to get a lot of no's. We talked about this yesterday. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get rejection. I've been told no. But the key trick is to not let these no's stop you
right,
from where
right,
you're going.
right. Those it's that fear of rejection can hurt a lot of people, and you know, I'm pretty sure I'm not the only, you know, artist who, you know, has, you know, a little fear of that. But you have to, you know, just get out of the mind frame that every role is for you. Because a lot of us actors, we submit for roles daily. And, you know, we all hope that the phone's gonna ring or you're gonna get an email notification from, you know, from someone who's gonna give you the role of your dreams. You know, you just have to stay consistent and stay, you know, stay dedicated to this craft. You know, not everybody's gonna say yeah. Not everybody's going to give you, you know, offer you a role. Some people may offer you a different role than what you actually auditioned for. You just have to be willing to, you know, understand that you may not fit the vision of that director or that casting director for what they have in their mind of what that character should look like, or you know what that character should, you know, portray themselves as. You know, one role I did on stage about 3 years ago was meant for a man of a much lighter complexion, and I walked in the audition, you know, being brown skin, and just blew them away because of my delivery and, you know, the energy I brought in the room when I auditioned. And I never forget, one of the casting directors that was in there, as soon as I finished the scene, he slammed his hand on the desk and said, "So you got the role." And I was so shocked by it because, you know, I didn't, you know, I didn't go in thinking that, you know, this is my role. This is my role. I just went in with a clear mind, like, hey, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to do what I got to do, and you know, leave it all in the room, and whatever happens, going to happen. And I never would have thought that I would have gotten booked right there on the spot, but you know, it happened. You know, and it turned out to be a great show.
See, you never know where opportunity lies. And you have to
That's
start.
right.
A lot of people don't want to take the background, they want lead or next to lead. And it's just like you're not going to get that just like that. You have to work your way up. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, work your way up. Like yeah, working your way up is definitely, you know, the way to be. You know, I did background work on Will Smith's film Emancipation. You know, I wasn't on, you know, I wasn't a main character on camera. I didn't have any lines, but just the experience of being out there and actually meeting Will and, you know, running it with him, you know, realizing that he's actually a really cool dude. Like, despite what you may hear in the tabloids or in media news, like Will Smith is actually one of the coolest dudes you will ever meet, Jeremy. But and not only that, you know, Antoine Fuqua, he was so approachable, you know, He was willing to have a conversation with even us background workers. Was willing to talk to any of us. And you know, networking in situations like that is a lot more valuable than just, oh, I don't have, I got the lead role. It's not always about having the lead role. It's not always about that. Sometimes it's about just being in your element and getting that experience of being on a major film set. Some people work their entire lives in this craft and never have a chance or an opportunity to work on an actual major film.
It will give you any advice or pointers or tips that you can take along with you.
Um, I wouldn't say like direct advice. He was talking to a few of us background actors who we were around him during the scene where he's marching with the soldiers, as well as I was very close to him when he was being dragged away, and to be a slave for the Confederate Army. I was right there, when it happened, and during cut scenes, one advice he gave me was like, just stay consistent and stay working, and keep at what you're doing. Take classes. He asked a few of us, you guys take any classes? Do you have any training? A lot of major film directors will ask you that. That's two big questions that any major film director is going to ask you. Do you have training and do you have representation? And I know that. Uh, well, I'll say this. With Will, um, the guy you see on the Fresh Prince, that's him in real life. That's not no act. That's really how he is, which I love about him, and that's what made him so down to earth and so cool. Like, this guy has done some of the most historic movies we've all grew up with and hold dear to our hearts, and yet that's still the Fresh Prince to this day. I stand 10 toes down on that. That guy, Giancarlo Esfido. I had the pleasure of meeting him. I had the pleasure of meeting a few other big name actors in this game, and they all ask you, what are you doing next? One of the greatest quotes or the greatest things I've ever heard about an actor is that a successful actor, a working actor, is preparing for his current role. I'm sorry, he's a working actor. He is working on his current role and preparing for his next role, as well as auditioning for two other roles. Just staying consistent and doing your thing and making sure that making sure people know your name, making sure people know, hey, I know that guy. I see him in this, or he works hard. Like, some directors or actors, some directors or casting directors can, they see your drive, they see your passion for it. They're gonna give you a chance.
All right, fashion dolls. Before we conclude this conversation, we are going to have some fun tonight. The first game that we're going to do is called a setup. And this is sort of our version of this or that. And this is where I give my two choices. Like, for example, coffee or do you want a cappuccino? That's an example.
All right,
And then
all right,
what we're going to do is called turn the table. And my guests get to ask as many questions as they want to. Fashion, beauty related, or just life, passion, goals, whatever he wants to know from my new viewers out here. We can kind of get to know a little bit about me through my questions and my answers. All right? So we're
all
going to
right.
start off with,
Speak up a little bit, Jeremy.
all right.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay. Pick up. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first, here's the first choice. All right?
All right.
Playlist or podcast?
Say it. Repeat that one time.
Playlist or podcast? Which do you prefer?
Playlist.
All right. Swimming pool or beach?
Swimming pool. I'm
All
black.
right. Summer or winter?
Winter. There's a phrase down here we like to say, it's called, it's hot long time like the summers in New Orleans. Humidity down here is different, so give me the winter time energy.
All right. Farm or city?
Say it again.
Farm or city? Which would you
City.
prefer? All right. Driver or passenger?
Driver. I'm a car guy all day. Driver.
Dine in or dine out?
Oh, this is the food capital of America. Dine in. My family gets down with the kitchen. You hear me?
All right. Okay, this one is a little controversial because I know a lot of the people in the audience were battling over this answer right here. Waffle or
Damn. uh, pancake.
pancake? All right. Movies or TV shows?
Movies.
All right. Ooh, this is a good one. Love or money?
Love. Definitely love.
Weekends or weekdays?
Hmm. I'm one of those types that I can't wait for Monday because it's time to go to work and get to it. So I'm gonna say weekdays.
All right. Which do you prefer, singing or dancing?
Damn, that's hard, you hear me? I'm I'm around a lot of extremely talented vocalists, so and I try to all I do is try to keep up with them. So I'm gonna say dancing.
All right. And here's the last four. Okay. Drama or fantasy?
Say it again.
Drama or fantasy?
Drama,
Okay.
definitely drama.
Asia or Europe?
Say it again.
Asia or Europe?
Speak up. I can't hear you. You cutting out.
Or Europe?
Europe.
All right. And last but certainly not least, would you be a unicorn or a dragon?
I was being dragon, you hear me?
All right. Fashion dolls, that is etc. Our version of this or that. Now it is time to turn those tables. For those of you who are out there, you get to know a little bit about me through Mike's questioning, all right? So I have no clue what he's going to ask me, but I'm going to pass the baton down to Mike.
Um, when did you start this show?
I started Style by Stevie, believe it or not, right after high school. Because
Uh,
our parents always ask us, what is going to be our game plan? What are you going to do? Are you going to go to college? And luckily, I went straight to beauty school while I was in high school around that time, graduated, and I got my license and everything. And I worked in a salon. That's one thing people don't know about me. And after that, I went on to say, okay, what is going to be my next venture? You know, when one option doesn't work, you go to the next option. So that's sort of how Style by Stevie was formed. Before I didn't really have a name for it. It was just called Weekday Topics, and I would do it every day at 11 o'clock. But now we have a set time at 4. So now being able to transfer all of the things that I've wanted to do in this platform, be able to interview friends who are in the industry who are actors or musicians. They have a platform where they can come and promote their projects. So I just said, why not Style by Stevie? Just randomly on a whim, I just said it out. All of the things that I know that people love, entertainment, music, movies, fashion, why not give it a name? And we called it Style by Stevie. So
I dig it.
2016 was the year to solidify it.
Let me give you a this or that. Cosmetology or fashion?
Ooh, okay. That's tough because they both go hand in hand. You're changing up something. I mean,
I feel that.
oh, because I can't go without my hair. The one thing I'm very one thing I go one thing that I always solidify that solidifies the Miss Stevie look is my hair.
All
So
right.
I would have to say cosmetology. Clothes, yes, I can always re-put outfits together, put things in a different light. I can always switch and use what I already got. So I would have to say cosmetology.
All right. All right. I dig that. Um, where do you see this show going in 5 years?
I see myself with my own network. I see myself giving other black creators, inventors, producers, directors a home as well too, because there's so many of us out here that are black innovators that are creating their own platforms like this, that are creating their own films, their own projects. I see so much for this platform here. So I see myself on my own network and with this platform on the network.
I dig that. I dig that. Uh, uh, Casual or formal?
Y'all know I'm not a simple girl. I love formal. I love elegance. I love over the top. I can't do simple. My mom is simple. My mom is a simple person. When she raised me and I was born, I don't know what happened. She said this girl is gonna be extra. So yeah, I'm the one. I have brothers and sisters, so I already am the wild card of the bunch. I do the unexpected. I'm that family member that's gonna show up with an evening gown on.
I
Yeah,
feel
that would be me.
that. That's what's up. That's what's up. That is what's up. Hmm. Do I have any more questions? Uh, what would be your ideal movie or your ideal project to work on? I'm sorry,
My ideal what now?
your ideal project to work on.
My ideal project to work on. I would love to work alongside Taraji P. Henson. That would be a dream because I feel like our energies are so much similar. You know, I love to have a good time. I love to laugh. She likes to laugh. And seeing her outside of her character when she's on set, behind the scenes, is just
She
everything.
is.
Yeah,
She is.
we would get along.
One of my first background roles was on her movie From the Rough back in the day, and I didn't know she was that down to earth. You know, she was willing to sign autographs. She was willing to, take pictures with us. And, we're all young college guys. And, obviously it's Roger, so we all like, salivating, but, she was so cool. And I would love, it would be a dream just to, be on this, just to run lines with her. It would just be a dream. Like she's awesome. And just knowing her story, like, yeah, I can understand what you mean by that. Definitely.
And I go off for energy. So I feel like if not her, then Gabrielle Union, because we have an energy that is almost similar and it's scary. Like, wow. So
Yeah,
even with the
she's
whole
another one.
zodiac signs, I go by zodiac signs. I'm a Scorpio. So I feel like we click with almost any zodiac sign out here. It's
Yeah,
all about vibes. Yeah.
I've had a thing for her since Bring It On. And the DOH got to forgive me. Like she just like you knew how great she was as an artist. Even early on, it was like you make this seem so easy. And in being an actor, you never want to come off on film as, oh, you're acting. No, it's like
Right.
you're watching someone's real life when you're watching her. It's and the same with Taraji. Um, I never forget one of my favorite monologues. Like I said, monologue. I had an acting partner when I first started out, and one of our most memorable scenes we did together was the argument between Jody and Yvette. I hate your ass too. It was, shout out to Michaela. That was one of the greatest the greatest actresses I've ever worked with. She was awesome. I hope she gets back in the game. But just being able to emulate people who inspire you is that's a big thing in our craft.
And amazing too, because they bring so much inspiration to us. And they bring
Yeah,
some breathe so much life into these characters. Another
yeah,
actress that I would love to work with if I ever get the opportunity would be Angela Bassett. Because she's I would say she's a beast. And not only that, but
yeah.
she makes the character so believable to the point. And even as a woman watching Wait and Exhale, I was like, okay, yeah, the one that I could relate to the most was Bernadine, because everything that she was feeling, I was feeling watching it, watching that project, Waiting to Exhale.
Believe it or not, the same lady who I call my fairy godmother in this craft, she actually trained Angela Bassett years ago, and I believe they're still really good friends to this day, as well as her husband,
Courtney.
Courtney B. Vance. Yeah, Miss Tommy knows both of them very well. I've always had this wild fantasy. she's, I'm gonna go see my fairy godmother, and Miss Angela is gonna be sitting right there in her living room, and I'll probably just fall out and start crying like Malcolm X did when he met Louis Farrakhan. I'm sorry, when Malcolm X met not Louis Farrakhan, the minister before him. God, Lord, please forgive me. Uh, but I remember the scene where Malcolm met Elijah Muhammad. I'm sorry, when Denzel was playing Malcolm and he met Elijah Muhammad, and he just kind of froze and was like, I'll probably be the same way if I ever met Angela. I wouldn't even know what to say. She'd probably think I'm crazy or something. But I know that I have it in me to be able to work with some of the greats. I follow them all. I follow all their work, not just today, but also their early work as well.
Oh yeah.
Just to see how they've progressed as actors. And some people are just meant to do this. Anything that Angela Batts is a part of, it's going to be amazing. I've been a fan of hers, like you say, like since Wait and Exhale, and What's Love Got to Do with It. I was one of those kids who I would wait for a young lady to be in our high school classes reciting, Tina Turner lines from What's Love Got to Do with It, just so I could be Ike Turner. And I told you now, he'd kick at me. Just this craft is crazy, and I love it to death. It some people say find a job that you would even do for free. And I found that.
Yes. All right, fashion dolls. That is our turn the tables segment. Um, Before we close out this interview, I'm going to give you guys some words of wisdoms which come from Janet Mock. She says, these parts of yourself that you desperately want to riddle and destroy will gain power over you. The best thing to do is face your own because they are a part of you. And that comes from Janet Mock. And I want you guys to walk away encouraged over the weekend. Mike, are there any gems that you would like to leave? Because you have so many of your supporters that came in, some of your co-stars that came in and
I
glimpsed this
appreciate them
interview.
all. I appreciate them all. Words of encouragement. Keep God first,
Yes.
and whatever you do, um, you don't know what you're dealing with. You're lost. Don't be afraid to hit them knees and get down and put them hands together. And, talk to the big man. Um, stay dedicated. Work hard at your craft, no matter what it is: music, fashion, cosmetology, acting. I don't care if you're a shipyard worker. I don't care if you're a plumber or a pipe fitter. Just stay dedicated to what you're doing. It's going to pay off. Consistency is key.
Where can everyone follow you and check out your projects? Because you have a catalog of projects out there for everyone.
Um, you can find me on here on Instagram at Mike_Lucchini. For those of you who are a little younger than I am, Lucchini is one of the greatest hip hop songs in history. That's a story from when I was in college, because I used to play it every morning, and my roommates would just started calling me Mike Lucchini because that was my morning song as I got ready for class and work. But find me on Facebook, Mike Forrest. I have a movie on YouTube called None of Your Business. That's actually what's the name of the movie. It's called None of Your Business. Don't I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be an asshole. That's really what it's called. I'm also on Amazon Prime. In a series on Amazon Prime called Lady T's Betrayal. Um, I have a lot of stage work. I've done content with some of the best uh, internet comedians, and I say I'm not gonna say internet comedians, because I'm not gonna limit them to that. I've done content. I've done work with a lot of great comedians in my city. I did a comedy video that made it to 50 Cent's page, where it was a parody of BMF, and I didn't even know that 50 had seen it until he reposted it the same day. I was absolutely blown away by that. Man, all my friends were contacting me. Oh, Mike, you made it to 50 page. Mike, you on 50 page. I'm like, what? Stop playing. But just the response and things like that, you can always find me doing some things. And I also have some content that's coming to my page really soon with, some really great performers that I'll be uploading within the next month. It's not just gonna be a TikTok. It's gonna be something serious. It's gonna be something cool. So it takes a little time to cook it up a little bit.
All right, Fashion Dolls, make sure you guys stay tuned and that you are following Mike. We got to have you back in the winter. You said you like winter best.
Yeah,
So we will definitely be setting that up. Um, Next week, Tete a Tete returns with episode 2. My co-host Manny Killer will be joining me Tuesday at 3. So make sure you guys tune in. Some of the lineup will be up, so make sure you guys stay tuned for next week's lineup for Style by Steve. I love you all, and I want you guys to have a blessed and amazing weekend. And remember, cherish each and every moment and go for what you are following. I love you all, Fashion Dolls.